I guess I should try to bring my mic over if I'm gonna do a live stream. Very interesting here. All right. So once again, always something new these days, it seems. There we go. There's the BTC chart. And let's get to my YouTube live streaming. New. There we go. That's the one. All right, I'm gonna pull out the chat. Apparently, I'm doing all this right now. All right. Well, let some people roll in here. Start a minute or so early. Just gonna kind of we're public today, so we'll see if anyone strolls in. Kind of a weird day. I don't do a lot of stuff on Sundays, but I had to take Saturday off essentially to coach my kids' soccer. Well, yeah, my soccer team, his soccer team, our soccer team. And I am gonna preface this with I am in the beginning stages of some research about Ray Dalio and what his teachings I guess his findings are teaching, I guess is really a better way to put it. He he's kind of in the stage of his life where he is divulging a lot of the information that he's acquired over his lifetime, and it's pointing to, some not good economic stuff in the near future based around United States debt, things like that. The wars going on potentially in the world right now, so we'll see. But I think it's very telling that gold is just on this crazy run. And I view everything in the lens of the market. Hey, what's up? So big breakout over here at 200, 190, whatever you want to call it. Already up here towards 300. Um, Big breakout on gold. I think this is going to continue for a substantial period of time. The technicals look that way. The macroeconomics looks that way. Um, the U.S. debt situation not really helping a lot. I think if you to look at a all-time chart of gold, I think there's definitely going to be some times of extreme movement. Obviously, going off of the gold standard here, taking gold from 300 to basically 10xing gold there with a big old craziness in between. Big old cup and handle here. You take a measure move here from 500 to 2500. You got a $2,000 move in gold from 25 to 4500. I don't think that's really out of the realm of possibility, to be quite frank with you. I do not know. Oh, here we go. So you take this as a measured move, and then you get a cup and handle. That is a continuation pattern, is an accumulation pattern, and I do think that gold 4,500, whenever that happens, I think is a possibility. So, but that's kind of where my mindset is if gold goes in a big run, what does that mean? And if we get out of the general paradigm of what has been for the past 75 years, I guess, 50, 75 years, 4,500 gold will be small. We'll probably see $10,000 gold. We'll probably see, if we go hyperinflation, I think that gold will be, I don't even know. I'd have to really do some research for that. But that's kind of my premise. Hey, what's up, Phil? We may talk about stuff like that a little bit later. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where the show takes us. We'll see who shows up and what they want to talk about. But that's kind of what I've been thinking about lately. Uh, so just for those of you that don't know, this is my Power Hour live day, kind of a preview, I guess. If you're interested, go to Real Dash Crypto and you join the show right there. We do shows 6 days a week, five recorded, one live, and we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, and that's about it. All right, let's get with it. BTC, we've been talking about BTC every day now for years, and just feels like we're not in a good environment. So I have a follow through day system I follow, and we have one distribution day. We went into an uptrend back here on March 19th. although it doesn't look like that's really going to be going anywhere, not given this market environment. There's two ways you can move from an uptrend into a correction. Those are the two states of the follow through day system. And this follow through day system I didn't develop all by myself. I came up with the parameters for it, but it's based off Investors Business Daily's follow through day system. They get all the credit for it. I've just adopted it to crypto and ended up working really well. Um, no system is perfect. Follow through day system is not perfect. And I think there's one thing that a lot of technical traders forget to do is take the context of the market into consideration while they're looking at technical indicators. It's kind of the last level of trader, if you will, in my opinion. Um, I only became successful when I really took that into account. For BTC, we need to turn the 21 WMA into support. If we don't, it's no good. Yeah, I think it's even further than that, Phil. This is a very news-driven environment, and obviously Trump, in whatever he's saying and doing, is driving a lot of the price action, um, but not in a good way. But even before that situation, if you take Trump out of the mix, which you can't do in stocks too much, you can probably try to do it in crypto. We had an uptrend, we put in a Wyckoff top, and now we're suffering from that Wyckoff top. And so, from that perspective, I don't view pretty much any moving average as the line in the sand. I do think that um, trend lines can be used a little bit more reliably, in my opinion. This purple here is my 50-day moving average. This orange is the 21, and the 21 is good when it's good, but it's not when it's not, and it's just not right now. It really hasn't. Lately, usually holds the 21 day. Here it is an orange right here, right? So usually hold the 21 day in extreme uptrends, and a lot of extreme uptrends will support the 21 day. Past that, you go to the 50 day, but BTC doesn't super respect the 50 day. It does a better job of the 50 than the 21. 200 really shouldn't come into play, which is this lower orange line here. And we're pretty much already done with all of them at this point. Um, so yeah, chopping around here a little bit during our bear flag. Had a little bull flag right at the trend line, but just couldn't do it. In my opinion, a lot of these trend lines, especially once they're clearly established, I think a lot of people draw them wrong. I've never taken a course on how to draw trend lines. I've literally just drawn probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at this point. I don't even know. But I found a pretty good way to draw them. And when you get nice, concise trend line, this has multiple touches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch. I'll get rid of the follow through to there for a second. 5 touches plus a multiple touch run here that fails. Those tend to be very good bellwethers, more than any moving average. And I think the reason that these trend lines, when drawn correctly, mind you, and sometimes you can't draw them correctly. That's another thing. It's not that you can always draw them correctly. Sometimes the chart's just so garbage you don't need to be doing anything with it. I believe in that. But when something is respecting a trend line like this, even if it takes it over, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go into a bull cycle. Again, the context of the macro has to be taken into account. And there's not a lot of good macro right now. Again, Wyckoff top. Um, there's really not a lot of macro for crypto. A lot of it is basically charts because that's how you get the actual sentiment, I think, is by reading these charts effectively. So if you look at my volume aggregation tool down here, Phil, you've got the green and you got the orange. The green is the buying pressure. The orange is the selling pressure. So the buying pressure pretty much had control even during the latter half of this consolidation. We can zoom out a little bit further. So we got the uptrend. Here's the trend line breaking. Here's a very vertical. You got a big buying pressure right there on that verticality. You get a little bit choppy here. There's really not clear buyers or sellers in control, and that's where the patterns kind of suck, to be honest with you. You're in this weird middle ground where things are shifting in kind of an unorthodox way. Then they start to get orthodox, and that's where the VA tool starts to shift green. You do have a couple of bouts of red, but for the most part, we're green throughout this whole section. You come into here and the buying pressure stalls, which is normal. Buying pressure stalls, selling doesn't step in. And then buying pressure comes in again here. You see the volume aggregation tool popping right there. Then you have an RSI trend line break, VA tool break, and then you start to break trend lines. And then we're kind of not really the inverse of that, but it doesn't have the same look to it, does it? Your RSI is stuck on the floor, your volume aggregation tool. The sellers are going away, but the buyers haven't stepped back yet. So we could get tricky again, but right now I just don't think there's nothing to do here. If you look at a chart and you say, when do I want to be involved? Well, I'd like to be involved here. I'd like to be involved here. I'd like to be involved here. You got like 3 times over the past 4 or 5 months where really you want to be involved. The rest of the time, you're just dealing with chop and waiting for the market to figure itself out. And that's where we're at again. That's really a synopsis of what the market's doing, in my opinion. It's just trying to figure itself out. But your bias, if you talk about biases, a bias is something that kind of your predetermined thought before you take a lot of other things in mind, right? Your bias here is to the downside, in my opinion. Um, you just don't have the buying pressure supporting this market right now. The stock market is looking atrocious, and I do think that does play a factor. So I think your downside is your bias. Rejection here. It had a little bull flag here, giving it a bit of an opportunity. This didn't look too bad on the 2 hour. Didn't look too great either, but you're chopping right here under the trend line. You got a bull flag. It just says no. No, thank you. I'll take my toys and go home. We'll go lower. So now we're coming up to an opposing trend line. These upward sloping trend lines. These are the upward trends for a long time. All the way back down here to the bottom of 15. You have this secondary upward slope trend line here. Um, and then boom, you have this, it's right underneath of it. So you take this out, you have this 73,757 as support, and under there, you have this trend line. You could stop here. You take out 50, and you're looking at much, much lower prices. So unfortunately, the chart is headed in the wrong direction. And we did have that bout of buying pressure a week ago. This little move up here, which is what gave us our follow through day, right there. But that's all we get. And now we even got under the follow through day. Now I did mention that there's 2 ways to take the market back into correction versus an uptrend, and that is by 4 distribution days within 30 days, or you undercut the 0 day, which is this big blue line. So if we dive here, if we dive right now straight through this little red hash mark, which this is the 3% line for the next distribution day, it has to get down to here. And then if you go down to here, we're in a correction again. So it's already garbage. If you follow the M2 money supply, which is 88% correlation at the very beginning of May, BTC should start heading up. M2 money supply. I haven't looked at that chart in a while. So, I'll take your word at the 88% money supply. I think I'd be interested in that. I mean, this looks like pretty much a straight uptrend on about 88% correlation. What about 2017? What about 2018? There's no correlation here, so I'm not sure about that particular metric. Not to throw too much shade on you here, but um, you do have where they try to take money off the table here, which is where we got our last bear market in stocks, right? Then it kind of curled back up a little bit. So I don't know. I think, in all honesty, going back to our macro conversation, I'm not sure where you jumped in there, Phil, but I talked about a bunch of macro stuff. Good morning, Ian. Um, Macro wise, I don't know, I think going back to the Ray Dalio stuff, I think the U.S. 38 trillion in debt. We're doing 1 trillion a year now in interest payments. With high interest rates, it's only going to be more. Um, yeah, we could be do something that none of us have ever seen in our lifetime, and that's something Ray Dalio talks about. Is in the 70s, I think it was, maybe it was the 80s. He got hit. He got hit by something he'd never seen before, and I don't know if you guys know Ray Dalio's story, um, but he just kept going back in history until he kind of found this scenario, and it was before he was born, and that's kind of when he realized that the market moves in these cycles. I'm just gonna pull this up. I just kind of want to spread this message, honestly. Um, I really just kind of want to spread this message about these, yeah, these big cycles like this. This is what he bases all of his stuff on, and this productivity cycles technology. This is like a 200-year cycle right here. Obviously, none of us live through 200 years, but you end up things end up happening that you've never seen before, right? And you can only learn through history. This looks like an interesting one. So there's your 50 years leveraging phase. I'm 45. I've never seen a deleveraging phase, right? So represents systematic rise in debt levels in the economy. Well, we just talked about 37, trillion in debt, and you have these short-term, you have these long-term cycles here. Yeah, long-term debt cycle here, which is like a 2008 a little bit, right? 2020 maybe, I don't know. And then these short-term cycles, these are all of our recessions. So you have a long-term cycle, a huge, uh, I don't want to say bubble bursting, but almost like a bubble bursting. And then, so this is an interesting one. GDP growth, you have your leverage where you leverage till you have to deleverage, which was like 2008. And then your debt's at its lowest, and then it starts going back up again. And you go through these oscillating cycles until eventually nations fail, essentially. And he doesn't have. I mean, if you're interested in this, and I think at this stage, all of us should be. I think we're going to be. I think we're going to live through this. We're going to live through this drop. How severe it is, it just depends how the U.S. handles things. To be honest with you, and Ray talks about that. But if you guys haven't seen this, I think this is probably the most prolific chart. And our kids are going to go through this, and they're going to grow up through this. And I think it's dangerous, and I'm trying to learn more about it. And I want to teach you guys about it too. If you guys learn stuff, teach me, please, because I think if we know what to do, then we'll know what to do. Like when shit starts hitting the fan, I mean, it could start hitting the fan pretty bad. And I think Bitcoin's going to get bit by that too. I don't think it's immune. I think it'll have its good days. I think it'll have its bad days. But okay. So, I mean, most of the charts are garbage right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I only had two charts in my newsletter. The fourth turning, what's that one? I don't know that one. I'm gonna Google that. Oh, generational theory. Oh, is that what that is? Generational theory? Never heard of that. Interesting. According to a theory, historical events are associated with recurring generational personas. Yeah, this is essentially what this is almost literally Ray Dalio's thing, but he doesn't call it the fourth turning. This is Ray Dalio's research is just his research. Um, are you familiar with Ray Dalio, Phil, and kind of what he's done? And because it's essentially, yeah, it's basically like this. It's that we don't conflate prior events with our lifetime. Yeah, he's so first of all, the dude is essentially not legitimately, but he's essentially a college professor. So when you go down the Ray Dalio rabbit hole, you're going to college. Like, no shit. It's deep. It's very, very deep. It's thick, and sometimes it can be very boring, even for a guy like me. Um, but what he talks about is, I think, insanely relevant. And obviously, it's right. The guy is one of the $130 billion hedge fund for crying out loud. So he's doing some things right. It's like 35% compound annual growth rate on his fund. And he's computerized his theories to the point where you give it some inputs and it tells you what to do. So, I mean, this is actual market action in real life. And it's it's legit. Well, yeah, it goes like this. So, according to the theory, historical events associated with recurring general personas, each generational persona unleashes a new era lasting around 21 years. The new social, political, economic climate. They are part of a larger saculum along human lifespan, usually about 85 years. That's about what Ray Dalio said. Bearish, JK. Have a good day. Although some sacula have lasted longer, theory states that a crisis reoccurs in American history after every saclium, which is followed by a new recovery. During this recovery, institutions and communitarian values are strong, ultimately succeeding generational archetypes. Oh, you're welcome. Attack and weaken institutions in the name of autonomy and individualism, which eventually creates tumultuous political events that ripens condition for another crisis. Yeah, it pretty much describes America. Yeah, this is very akin to Ray Dalio, but um, his research goes back 500 years. He tries to talk about the world leaders. Ray Dalio World Leaders Chart. He has a cool chart. Okay, I think this is the new one. Look at his book. This is one of his. Okay, so this is his current chart. We'll look at this for a second just because we're here. Um, but you can download all his PDFs for free. Go to economicprinciples.org, I believe is his website. Um, but he has a ton of. I told you this is like going to college. So, okay, so he talks about these are the different things in a culture in a country. So this is China. Final growth estimate, working age population growth, growth per worker estimate, education, labor productivity, working hard, investing, culture, corruption, bureaucracy, rule of law, saving life versus achieving innovation, self-sustaining. So he takes all these and comes up with a Doug score, if you will. I just gave countries a Doug score. That's awesome. And he ranks all the countries currently. I don't know if it's in the beginning or in the end, but here you can see. I hate saying that because everyone on freaking YouTube says that. Um, but here you have all the different things and all the different countries. And here's a reason, in my opinion. You know, Ray Dalio is the real deal. Um, no shyster idiot would go through this type of pain. This is pain, okay? Who wants to make this chart? Nobody wants to make this chart. This is a labor of love, I guess. Okay, so here we go. Strength gauge, health gauge, happiness gauge, average. So US is number one, China is number two, Euro's number three, Germany by itself, and obviously it goes in individual countries. Uh, so he kind of shows you what he's thinking here. And he goes deeper, right? Obviously each country, as we saw, has its own section. And he goes into it, productivity, culture, indebtedness. Like this is good stuff that he just gives out for free, which is really great for him. There's such a wealth of economic knowledge. This is how Ray Dalio thinks. He's like, okay, what are the countries? What are the things that make a country strong? What are the things that propel a country forward versus hold them back, right? And then he ranks them all together. And guess what he's doing with this information? He's buying bonds, he's buying stocks, he's doing whatever high level crap he does. So, but there's another one. Um, he has one with his oh, here we go. He has one for historical. Perfect. Here it is. Okay, so there's he has lots of charts, y'all. I mean, hundreds, thousands. So, okay, this is the one I was looking for, but this is the archetype of an individual empire: education, competitiveness, financial center, trade, military, output, innovation, reserve status. Notice reserve status starts last. Education seems to start first. That's interesting. Innovation is early, competitiveness is early, military, and they all kind of seem to peak around the same, um, except for financial reserve status. This, when the power is in decline, you can argue the U.S. is probably here. So negative 120 years to the zero to negative to positive 120 years. You can argue. I think the year 2000. Obviously, I think that was our peak. I talked about this in the Power Hour a few weeks ago, but I think that was our peak. Notice all these things kind of start rolling over at the same time a little bit. But the reserve status is last because the world doesn't like to change. So to hold that reserve status until eventually a war breaks out, and then that's when all this turns to shit. That's basically what this says. Um, so I mean, look, obviously this isn't not this is probably like an average or something like that. Obviously, no one's going to follow this exactly, right? Um, and yeah, so maybe the US technology peak goes higher, but you know, China just took AI and We do all the work and they reap all the benefits, right? They don't have their own major AI starting hub. They copied all of the US's stuff, and it is what it is. But I mean, you could have some arguments that if you want to build a million robots, who's going to get there first? US or China? China's going to get to a million robots before the US does, absolutely. Just like humanoid robots. They're cranking them out right now. Guarantee that. They do everything earlier and sooner because look, that's the one benefit that a system like China has versus another system is, hey, go build a million robots. I don't want to. Boom, you get shot in the head. Hey, go build a million robots. Sounds great, you know? So if they want to build a million robots, they're going to build a million robots. So I guess it depends what you what you deem technology as. US and China are pretty close. I mean, technologically, you could argue, depending on the area of technology, that one has the edge over the other. Manufacturing, China's got the technology edge, hands down. Hands down. We have an IP technology edge, but we can't build shit. So think of it this way: if China, found something that they found was a holy grail, they cut us off from building that thing. We can't do anything about it. It's going to take us 2 years to build a Look at Tesla. It takes them 2 years to get a plant going, a year to ramp up manufacturing, and even then they can't build the Cybertruck. So what do you get? I mean, and you would think they're some of the best in the world. China's better. So it's one of the things. Yeah, but that's the wrong view of it though, Phil. You're correct. They are a big thief of intellectual property, but who's going to stop them? Here's the thing. Um, when it comes to those types of things, if I were to steal your intellectual property, Phil, the U.S. would back you up, right? They would send. It wouldn't even be the U.S. It'd be Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. It wouldn't even be the military. It would just be, here you go. You have to go to court. You plead your case. I plead my case. I end up paying you money, right? That's how it goes. What do we do with China? What do you do? Well, look at what's going on with Russia. Look at what's going on in Israel. We have no power. We have zero power anymore. Zero. So when it comes to nations, the only real power is military. That's it. And we're obviously not going to go to war over stealing intellectual property. Um, it's when it comes to the U.S. and China, we're essentially mutually insured destruction at this point. Our economics are so intertwined between production. Like we're their biggest customer. The second we're their third biggest customer, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And Trump is right. And Biden tried to do this too. I don't know if he necessarily succeeded that much, but um, trying to bring some manufacturing back 100%. We need to make our own stuff at certain levels. We need to be responsible for our own food supply so we're secure. But we we're we're in the plateau stage, if not the downward sloping stage, on a lot of education. We've been downward sloping. Actually, look at this right here, downward sloping for years. Your military props you up after that. Education wise, we're a bunch of garbage people. And that, in all honesty, what's funny when you look at a chart? When I look at a chart like this, you know what I see? I see what I tell people all the time. The leaders lead. When I'm looking to buy a stock, when I'm looking to buy a crypto, I want the one that goes first. Look at this one, education, innovation, and technology. And I don't know how this was derived. I don't know exactly how this chart was derived. I'm sure I could probably find out, but I don't know if it was. But it makes sense, right? If we get better education, yeah, a lot of his stuff's on LinkedIn, by the way. Principled Perspectives. Only 611,000 subscribers. That's crazy. Rough estimates of relative standings of great empires. Yeah, look, U.S. declining, China come on the come up. None of the others even have a chance, really. To keep. Oh, perfect. This is the chart I was looking for. This is the chart I was looking for. So you got China, China up here starting, and then what are the gray areas? I think they're wars or recessions or something like that. Oh, major wars. Yeah, right there. So there's major wars. right there, right? We haven't had a lot of major wars lately, but it looks like we're due. Um, so United Kingdom on the Netherlands took over China for a while, and then Great Britain. There was a war. Notice that war right there. There's the war where I guess Netherlands took over from China, maybe. I don't know. And then there's the war where United Kingdom took over from the Netherlands, and the Netherlands have kind of just been on the decline ever since. They're a small nation. Um, and the United Kingdom and the U.S. came out of nowhere, obviously. Boom, big peak, big peak. Look at that, all time the max, U.S. And then yeah, we're on the decline. And these are all based off of those statistics. And again, this one of the reasons I actually trust Ray Dalio is the fact that he's an investor. His his worldview is based on whether the fact he makes money or not. You know what I mean? And I think you can extrapolate that, especially, okay, and we're looking at it for money. We're not looking at it really for a lot of other reasons. So, reverse empire transition for the past 4 centuries. Boom, boom, boom. We're on the way down, they're on the way up. So, like it or not, yeah, there's the archetype. So, like it or not, we're kind of on the decline. And I mean, do you want to move to China? I don't necessarily want to move to China. I'm just speed reading this. I want to see if this is an amalgamation or just a guesswork, I guess. Here you go. Strong education leads to strength in most areas, including creation of the world's most common currency. That common currency, like the world's common language, tends to stay around because the habit of usage lasts longer than the strengths that made it so commonly used. That's what I was talking about. The reserve status stays longer than most things. So you guys can read this. Here, I'll post this in chat. I guess I'll go back to talking about crypto stuff. But I think this is incredibly important. I think you trade the way you always have with this in your backdrop. Um, I mean, like I said, college course right here. You're in college, and I think all of us need a little bit of college. United Kingdom, interesting. Competitiveness, education, innovation and technology. So education got really high, and then innovation got really high, and then you peak in orange is military and financial center, and then trade is right there for 50 years, and then you have output peaking, and then you have competitiveness peaking, and reserve status peaked around the war, and then obviously they lost the war, and we go down. Is there any truth to China's economy being in a bad position? I do not know, Phil. I haven't kept up on that, to be quite honest with you. I do have, I do have, I keep track of the yin, which is like a 2 or 3 times ETF. I do keep track of this for whatever that's worth. I gauge things by what the market says, not by what anything says. That so this is China Bull 3 times shares. So I mean, it doesn't look great. Yeah, but I really don't know. I don't keep up with it, to be honest with you. Um, and pretty much most of this year, I'm in the middle of a large remodel and house addition. So I'm going to be really focusing a lot on that. And after that, I'll be diving very deep into this stuff. Um, hopefully Ray Dalio deep, maybe we'll see. But I don't know. The charts don't look super hot. You do have a little bit of extra volume stepping in here, so it could be on the come up a little bit. But I just don't have enough information. This looks like a cup and handle on the weekly, and that could lead to a good breakout. I mean, when China runs, man, if this thing gets back, I mean, you got a good run there. I like these 3 times ETFs for strategies. But yeah, I honestly I just don't know. Um, I would trust guys like Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio has a huge footprint in China, and he goes to China all the time. And whatever he says goes, in my opinion, in regards to that. But that's a cup and handle on the weekly time frame. Obviously, huge distribution right there, so they take some profits, but they're trying to come back. VA tool not strong yet. I don't know. We'll see. There seems to be there's a cup and handle here, but this peak here at 73 seems to be somewhat important. Maybe a pivot point. Oh, there we go. There it is. Always try to find a good horizontal pivot point. 56. I think that's your pivot point for this yen chart. This is just a yen chart. I don't know about other charts, other ETFs. I mean, I'm sure there's a China ETF. It's like a normal China ETF. MSCI. Oh, I guess that's done pretty good. HMCD, I guess. Uptrend right there. I You'd have to dig into what's in these things, but I view the markets as the purveyors of truth, with the correct keeping the correct context in mind. So yeah, one leg at a time with the market cycle in mind. Hey guys, give me a minute. I'll be not even a minute. Give me like 20 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. But yeah, I believe the market is the purveyor of truth, and so I would definitely defer to charts like that. It's good to have all the background information. I always say with context. It's important. Technicals are important. Context, they're not important. You know, they're you can't have a table without two legs. Okay, you just can't do it. Every table has to have two legs, maybe three, but at least two. At least two. So yeah, Ray Dalio, guys. I honestly look if he's wrong and the U.S. is just gonna keep on keeping on, trade normally, whatever, don't change anything. If he's right, what ends up happening is your reserve currency status. Hey, what's up, Aram? Um, our reserve currency status goes down, and that'll be bad for all the money that we own. You'll just be poor overnight, right? You'll just be poor overnight one day, and if you're here, I'm assuming you're some type of a person interested in finance in some way, even if it's just for trading, but even if it gets you involved. So this reserve status going down is incredibly dangerous for individuals. And I started off saying this, and this is something Ray Dalio says. I didn't make this up. You you always correlate everything in your daily life to be like it's always been, right? In the fourth turning, like Phil's talking about, what ends up happening what ends up happening is even something that's huge you correlate to something smaller. So start the show. It was 9 o'clock. I started a couple of minutes before nine around. I've just been talking Ray Dalio stuff. This is really what's on my mind, to be honest with you. The Ray Dalio stuff about the global economy. I was actually meaning to reach out to you. I've just been so freaking busy. I think of everything 4 days after I mean to do something. um, oh, there you go. Dutch lose to the British. So here's the British decline. No links? I didn't put a link in the newsletter? I'm pretty sure I put a link in the newsletter. I'm not going to open up my email because it's public, but and I'm only on one screen, so I can't really look at other screens. I could have swore I put a Power Hour link. Is it not there? Ah. All right, guys, hold on a second real quick. I'm just going to mute my screen just so, you know, nobody can see if emails pop up. I got to look. Did I not? Oh, I didn't fucking send it out. Oh, I'm stupid. Jesus, it's filled out. I just didn't hit the stupid send button. Ah, fuck. I'm sorry, Rom. Man, I've been glitchy lately, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm getting old. I feel it. I'm gonna get some testosterone replacement crap. I think that shit legit works. It must because I have not been myself. No, it's literally sitting there not sent, fully done. I just didn't hit the send button. Whoops, that's still my email. Okay, there we go. Let me turn the screen back on here. There we go. All right. Well, hey, I'm sorry about that, Aram. Jeez, man. Well, I'm sure, dude. In the past, that happened to me again the other day. I sent the newsletter out like 9 o'clock or something like that, 9:30, 10 o'clock. I had it done. Um, I had the recording recorded, but I didn't upload it to YouTube yet. Oh no, I did upload it to YouTube, but I didn't paste the link in the email and send the email. Wow. Okay. Well, all right. No, just getting old, buddy. Just getting old. I really do think it's just getting old. I'm gonna go get that testosterone shit done, man. I think it's real. 100%. I felt it in a day, like almost a year ago. I'm trying to deal with it, but I don't know. I gotta do something. I'm getting all wrinkly too. My wife like comes to my face and spreads my crow's feet out. She's like, "What's this about, Randy?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like, you still look like you're 32. She takes good care of herself for the most part. For some parts, better than me. Um, all right, Ray the Dalio, yeah. So, so this is interesting. So you got, uh, Dutch's Golden Age, formation of the Dutch Republic, seceding from Spain, Dutch East India Company. That's really what made the Dutch. Bank of Amsterdam Stock Exchange founded, boom in the economy, and the Dutch had the strongest navy. That's really what set them apart because they're a small nation. You got to keep in mind the world wasn't like global, if that's a thing. The world really wasn't global back in the 15, 1600s, right? You were kind of sailing around Europe, taking weeks and months at a time to do trips. So the Netherlands were a player. Um, First and Second Anglo-Dutch Wars, right here, all right, and then Seven-Year War and shadow banking crisis. Fourth Anglo-Dutch War run on the Bank of Amsterdam, Dutch East Company, nationalized downfall of the Dutch Republic, and so they end up giving it up. But they had a run, from 1600 to 1750, give or take, right? 150 years. We're at 250 years. China's been going on, but I think this is a great resource. So reserve status. Oh, yeah, that died pretty quickly right there. Like the nation failed to exist, but this was its heyday right here. Let's see what other ones they have. But yeah, so when I started reading this, actually, right about when this came out, which was when did this stuff come out? 2020. So yeah, I've been loosely reading this. I'm like, oh, this is great to know when we get there, and maybe we're there. I mean, I don't know if we go back to this one for the Netherlands or whichever one they show us first. Like, how long did it take before this thing just gave up, right? If this is 50 years, this war right here, I'm not sure what war it is, but doesn't look like over 10 years, does it? I don't think it does. And this whole thing just collapsed within a number of years. So, but it's usually due to war, It's usually due to war. Obviously, we're not at war with China yet, but if we go to war with China, last time we had a world war, they closed the stock markets, um, which I don't know. It's a little scary. If I'm talking too much about this, you guys, tell me to f off and go talk about crypto charts and shut up. But I think this is the most important thing. I started talking this out about if you're interested in economics, even personal finances, this is extraordinarily important stuff to educate yourself in because you need to know the symptoms. You need to know what you can do. Obviously, you don't want to be investing in bonds, obviously, because here's the thing: we've never seen anything like this before. I do think something like physical gold could be a good storehold of wealth. Because let's take the worst case scenario, and hopefully it doesn't get anywhere close to that. You look at like a World War II scenario. People were just legitimately walking. Okay, what can you carry? You know what I mean? What can you carry? Well, and people they would carry in gold. People would rob them for gold, and but what else do you do? Carry a paper wallet with some Bitcoin probably. Shove it in the bottom of your shoe. I don't know. Um, maybe a little bit of Bitcoin. Yeah, you got to go super old school. I'm just saying, because if who knows what's going to happen in the U.S. if they got no money, maybe they start nationalizing bank accounts. I don't know. I mean, I'm not putting anything past anybody. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatist. I'm not one that's going to sit here and only I look at extremes. I look at far left. I look at far right, far up, far down. Okay. I try to look at them in extremes, and it'll usually lead you to somewhere closer to the truth. Okay. The extreme is we get in a huge war with China for some bullshit, and then people stop buying our bonds. We gotta fund the war somehow. So they did stuff like that before. They start taking money from people. So I mean, something's gotta give at some point. And when the government's out of money, when they can't print money anymore, they're gonna do hyperinflation. And I'm pretty sure everyone here knows kind of what that looks like based on Zimbabwe billion-dollar notes, right? And then other stuff. So gold is stronger than shitcoins now. Trump, BlackRock, not our friends. Nobody's our friends, man. That's the thing. Here's the thing. Very few people are out for people. Most people, and something else we saw in the Ray Dalio thing a little bit ago. He talked about selfishness. Oh no, it wasn't Ray Dalio. It was this. And I think this hits it on the head, to be honest with you. I thought this was really good. Um, Ultimately, succeeding generational archetypes attack and weaken institutions in the name of autonomy and individualism. Autonomy and individualism, which is great. I like autonomy. I like individualism, right? But it will eventually create tumultuous political environment that ripens conditions for another crisis. And that's what we're seeing now, in my opinion. You're seeing. Uh, I'm just going to say what I see, and I could be wrong. Don't ultimately hate me, but I'm not a Trump fan. I think that uh, Trump really, this autonomy and individualism, which is important. I just said I believe in it. I believe in autonomy. I believe in individualism. But if you go all the way to the right with it, right? If you go all the way to the right with it, it creates this. It creates conditions for another crisis. You can't go too far of me, me, me. And you can't go too far of you, you, right? There's got to be a balance somewhere in the middle. And we definitely have been splitting apart. The United States has something we haven't seen before, really, just in the past, what, since I want to call it since Obama. Since Obama, it's really, really been split. And then Trump made it worse, and then Biden. I don't think much changed with Biden, and then it's a little bit worse again with Trump, in my opinion. I do think it's really far split. I don't know how to come back from that. So if you view that, what ends up happening, in my opinion, is that our government won't be effective. Just too much crazy on the left, too much crazy on the right. There's not enough in the middle. It will ripen that condition for a crisis because we can't get together and come to a decision. You can't because you're evil and I'm not. You don't like my you don't like my position, you're evil, I'm not. On the other side, you don't like my position, you're evil, I'm not. So why would I negotiate with an evil person or an evil party? Okay? And that's just gonna it's not good. Nothing good comes from that. That's when people get divorced. That's when people get divorced. When you're unable to see things from the other person's perspective. I think in reality that's what happens. So, but I do think sooner rather than later this is coming to a head. And maybe the answer is just gold. You look at the gold chart, it's talking like it. Again, I believe the truth is in the charts. And look at this strength in gold the past 2 weeks. I mean, it's crazy. We talked about gold back here, when it was just under this little consolidation. Boom, here's another one. There's your measured move from 240 268. Took a minute, but it got there, you know. Um, I think, so I think that's I think gold could be I think gold's easy a $400 asset. I get things get really, really shitty, $1,000 asset. They get hyperinflation, $10,000 asset. You're gonna see Bitcoin like stuff, I think. Yeah, gold. I see. I'm not a gold trader, Rom. I haven't bought it really. I looked at a couple options on it. My problem is my bias is now for really high swinging trades. Multiple hundreds of percent. If it's not there, I don't know. I just don't have it in myself really to make an alternate decision. 3150. What? You have a time frame for that? That's a 10x from here. Let's do that. Yeah. I mean, again, I say to educate yourself. I'm just saying gold because while everyone shits on gold, uh, when shit hits the fan, gold will be around, and people have value in gold. Governments have value in gold. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah, not GLD. Okay. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Actual gold, which I don't know what it is. Yeah. 3090. Yeah, sorry about that. Um, I keep forgetting. I always look at the GLD. I keep forgetting it's not actual gold. So I do think that, look, I don't think it's going to happen next week, but I do think that Ray Dalio said 3 years. I heard an interview. I'm trying to listen to everything Ray Dalio. If you just go to YouTube, use YouTube Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio latest, I think, is what I ended up doing. He has an interview from about a month ago. Hey, look at that. I'm live. Ray Dalio latest. He's got, I haven't seen, see, I think this is one of those stupid AI generated garbage ones. I, I try to find a longer format one. Um, this one was interesting. This Mark Benioff guy, kind of fuck that guy. He's just weird. Wow, what a cool building. I didn't watch that one. I listened to that one. Um, I listened to that one, but it's stupid. I watched that one, obviously. It's got the red thing underneath it. I thought that was a good one. Here, I'll paste these links for you guys. If you guys find some good Ray Dalio videos, please post them in Slack for me. I would love to read that or listen to them, watch them. Oh, I need to watch this one. Latest on the Big Five Forces. That's good. I need to read that one. I need to listen to all these interviews because the problem is everyone um, talks about the same thing over and over again. He ends up talking about the same fundamental stuff. I want to get to like the juicy part. I think anything like this could be good. What do you got, Aram? David Freenberg, Ellen podcast. Okay. Hey Kevin, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking then? Were you watching this stuff? Okay. May- maybe we do this. Are you in my Slack chat, Kevin? I don't even know if my links are active anymore. In all honesty, I think we need to get together and just like keep a record of things that we see and ideas that we have about this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, we're also individual. Um, I I do like to get groups together. I do think it's good. I'll just start a I'll just start a group in the Slack chat. Oh yeah, cup and handle. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that earlier. Yeah, we talked about the cup and handle earlier. Yeah. If you look at the all-time gold charts right here. No, that's not the right one. Yeah, the Slack room's kind of a shit show, but it's good enough. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, you can go into whatever room you want to, but um, I think it's one of the more important research projects that we can do for ourselves and our families and the people that we know and people we can try to reach um, for the rest of our lifetimes. I think if this comes to pass, look, no one, everyone like talks. Oh, the U.S. is going to collapse. What does it mean to collapse? What is it? How does that look? What can you do? Yeah, I think that's the most important part is what can you do? I don't know if you can. Um, I'm not sure if you can. Let me pull in. Let me get an invite. And I'll just post it in chat. Right there, James? Or was that you, Ethan? Crazy. Um, Here, I'll post it in chat. Guys, feel free to join. I'm not trying to sell you guys nothing. My phone probably still sitting on the stand. What's up? Oh, it's probably just sitting on on the stand in my. That's my work phone. It's probably dead. Oh, what do you want me? Hold on, guys. My wife wants me to do something. What do you want me to do?
The laundry will be done in 10:30.
My phone just shut off. 10:30? I'll just remember 10:30. That's fine. Okay. Um, yeah. So yeah, I got my show, Real Dash Crypto website. I talked about that earlier. Obviously, you guys probably know that. Um, but I don't care. But I think this is more important than anything, in my opinion. Um, I mean, gold's already started a big run. A lot of people are probably haven't seen it, probably isn't heavily talked about. I haven't really done anything with it, and that's my fault. I was trying to think, like, if gold's the way to go, my general purpose is just to double my account on an annual basis. And can't do that with gold probably, but yeah, look at this. Sea of red. Look at that. NASDAQ down 2.63, ES down 2, gold up. It's not that often that happens, to be honest with you. I haven't seen a major correlation between stocks and gold. Um, so yeah. I mean, do you want to short? I mean, do you short? Is shorting the way to go? Is longing gold the way to go? I don't know. I want to look back on some of the other like stock market. And I guarantee Ray Dalio has this data. You look back at the stock market. I don't know if we can just Google this or not. Stock market crash Zimbabwe. I don't know. Is that a thing? Hyperinflation. Like when's the last big economic collapse? Like what's the last big one? U.S. Great Recession. That's not what I'm talking about. Sri Lanka. Oh, interesting. Does Sri Lanka have a index? No, they just have futures. Bonds ending in 2018 to 2019. Look at that. There's no, I don't know. They're probably old charts. Not that old. That's weird. You're currently short. Yeah, I'm currently cash. I don't do a lot. I do have a long position on a VIX option right now, but um, I've generally avoided markets like this. I just avoid them. But if we're gonna go '08, if we're gonna keep on a downtrend, I mean, I guess I could do a short ETF or something. I mean, I guess that's possible. But this is such a bad chart. Just can't get off the floor. I mean, just can't get off the floor. And see, here's the reason I'm not short, Kevin, is that this is a news driven. This is, if you have a different opinion, please speak up. It's fine. Um, I think this is driven by Trump and the tariffs and stuff like that. And I think it's all news driven. I think this market is all news driven. Obviously, I think the economic stuff is important as well. I think that plays a part in it. If someone's got a different viewpoint, that's fine. Speak it out. But to me, when I say it's Trump tariff driven, what I mean by, well, first of all, let me preface that with that's it. This reminds me of 2018. He did the same thing in 2018 right here. This was Trump tariffs and Fed talk all at the same time. Happened almost simultaneously, if I remember correctly. And then when the market capitulated and finally reversed, it was because Trump capitulated and reversed, and so did the Fed, almost simultaneously again. Um, this was fed by that. So I think we're in this environment. I would much rather just wait personally. I'd much rather just wait and then get it on the rebound. Wait for a clear bottoming signature and do something like that. Um, that's my opinion of the whole situation. I think it's very akin to this 2018 thing. And yeah, I can make a little money on the short side, but look at all this chop. That would hurt me. That would hurt me more than any money I would make on the downside. I'd much rather wait for more certainty and then react in kind. That's pretty much what I would do. Yeah, see, people look for alpha, Phil. They look for how to make money. And silver is good for that when silver's good, but uh, silver's not really that good. Silver can do good, can be more volatile, but when gold runs, man, gold runs, and it's running right now. So the big gold buy, and we watched it right here, didn't do anything about it, but that was the big gold buy right there, 190, boom, and then any subsequent horizontal consolidation break, which we're in the middle of a run now. I don't know when it's going to peak again, but it very likely will. We'll consolidate again. And if it consolidates, we have trend lines for support. If we if we if we get a trend line extension, we're parabolic in gold. And yeah, I think we're just parabolic in gold if we get a trend line extension. I'm not familiar with Darius Dales. I'm not familiar with that. 42 macro. All right, I'll look into that. That's cool. Yeah, I tend to do I don't do anything. What I do is I legitimately try to understand what's happening in the context of the current environment. That's what I try to do. And then I try to trade appropriately. But usually my context for my trading has been very limited to breakout stocks and very large uptrends. But I do think for me it needs to change a little bit. I do need to. I mean, I think I have enough of a broad view that I could also make investments elsewhere. The problem is I do such a good percentage when I stick to my core strategy that it precludes me from doing anything else. It just doesn't make sense for me to do anything else and just play these like this run is a good run, but it's a small trade for 47%. That's like that's nothing. That's nothing for me for a good. I'd rather wait 5 years and then go make 47% in 2 weeks. In reality though, I could do that often if I had I have some personal demons that I wrestle with doing that. I think I do much better in a team. Um, but anyway, that's just kind of what works for me. I don't even know Lynn Alden. I'm gonna look that up too. Give me some good stuff here, Kevin. I appreciate it. Yeah. Um, does that work? That link work? Yeah, it looks like it works. Okay. All right, let's go through some charts real quick. We really haven't touched charts at all. We just started talking about Ray Dalio. Now we're offering some woods. Let's go through some charts real quick. Um, we did talk about Bitcoin to start with, actually. Woo, what a bad moment right now. So let's get rid of the follow through day. Nothing looks good. I don't think anything looks really good here. I think the market is stalling for the next drop. That's my opinion. I think it is a little bit to go with the stock market, but even regardless of that, even regardless of Trump and political stuff, just look at the charts. Just look, you've been in a big uptrend from 15,000 up to 100,000. We didn't really break 100,000, proved to be too much of a psychological barrier. Now we're probably going to go back and correct. How much, I don't know. But obviously, we've been unable to really make a lot of headway. And I do think that once this trend line gets broken, which we're on the verge of it, if we get some elevated volume breaks here to the downside, that's going to put this trend line at risk with a brief stop at the 74. And then we'll see where we're at that point. But I don't think that there's too much more to do other than watch this thing go down. Unless you want to short it. If you want to short it, I think your best entry point was when this bear flag broke down with the stop up here. I think your stop still is up there. It's just it ends up being too deep to take any meaningful positions. Oh, 7% is not too bad. If you want to make that, if you want to make this trend line your stop loss, I'm not too mad at that. If it bounces without dropping, I say you get out before then even. But if this breaks, that's your stop loss, this trend line, and let it go for weeks and months and however long that takes. All right, most everything else looks like trash too. Ethereum, real garbage. Couldn't even get to the trend line on this last bounce up. That's obviously a horrible situation. You got Solana here, which can't get out of its own way. BNB rolling over out of a ascending triangle. Not even really letting it go very long, just kind of giving up really quickly, I think. If you draw that out, that's a fifth. That's halfway through the triangle. It's like, yeah, no thanks. Click and just move down. So this could turn into something else, but it's nothing right now. XRP living at lows, not much going on there. Dogecoin on the trend line. Really, just everything looks like trash right now. Cardano looks like it wants to go back and retest lows, maybe even go under some of these lows because we're pretty much right there with those two wicks, and you have this spike. But anyone know why the Cardano popped like that? I have no freaking idea. I know that was Trump's thing, but why Cardano? Beats me. Toronto, a big choppy mess. Shiba swap, rejection at the trend line, lower. Tron able to stay up for some unknown reason. I really have no idea why this is doing what this is doing. I also don't think this is an environment where longs are going to be rewarded. So obviously one or two are going to do good, but I think you have to sell them very quickly. AVAX rolled right over. Sui tried to go up, gave it all up. I think Sui is probably going to have a large retracement. Look at that bear flag. I don't really have a measured move from that. It's hard to know where the flag would start. Maybe right here, maybe right here. I don't know. It's a tricky one. Sui's been tricky. Bitcoin Cash looks horrible. Looks like it's about to give up or try to give up this horizontal about the 275. Don't like any of that. I don't like any of anything right now. I think our prior conversation was a lot better. Oh, did he put that in the strategic reserve? Oh, that's what it was. That makes sense. I don't pay that close attention anymore to those specifics. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Never know. But like I mentioned, I'm doing a big old house remodel. I am in the thick of it, y'all. My house is literally in studs, and we're going to take the studs out. We just have outside walls, which are block, and trusses. That's all we're going to have. Pepe sucks. DOT and a H pattern on the 2 hour. Near protocol, just putting a topping candle. That could be a good place for a stop if you want to short that. If we dump, you got to short something. Litecoin gave up from its ascending triangle, not looking super good right there. APT, choppy garbage. Uniswap, garbage. OM, garbage. Hasn't given it up yet, though. I think OM, yeah, maybe that's a little bit better. Maybe a little bit more of a triangle going on here. Yeah, but where did it come from? Is it just because we looked at it when he announced it, and the U.S. has like 250,000 Bitcoin just in holdings from seizures. So I don't know where did he get the Bitcoin from? I'm Googling this now. How much is in the strategic BTC reserve? 200,000 Bitcoin. Oh, no, that's not that's the AIG, that's not the real one. Let's see what this fact sheet says. This sees BTC? Yeah, I figured. with Bitcoin owned by the Department of Treasury that was forfeit as part of a criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. See, they're not going to buy in the open market. And this is what we were talking about the other day. They're like, why isn't it popping? I'm like, well, they're not going to buy it. Who's going to buy it? No one's going to buy it. Not to mention it's an executive order. Anything in the US done by executive order is bullshit. Oh, doesn't mean that everything is bad that's done by executive order. It just means that look at the DACA recipients. Okay, I'm going to use DACA as the example. Everyone's going to have an opinion on that. I don't care what it is. But look at DACA. You got these people who've been flung left, right, and center because there's no bill passed, strictly because it was done by executive order, right? This is done by executive order. What does it mean for Bitcoin? Doesn't mean anything. It's going to go away in 3.5 years, you know? So we'll see. What does that even mean? Buy BTC? No, sounds like Trump speak where he says everything, so nothing's ever actually true or a lie. He just says everything. We're going to buy Bitcoin as long as there's no cost to the taxpayer. But you just said you're going to buy it. Yep, we're going to buy it. But you said there's no cost, and there's going to be no cost. So Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Mexico's going to pay for the wall, right? Says everything, yet says nothing at the same time. True politician. Cryptos are first ever crypto summit at the White House. What does a summit do? Probably nothing. I don't like political speak from anybody. From anybody. I don't like it from anybody. Sell, yeah, you're gonna sell bonds to buy BTC, maybe, I guess. But the Federal Reserve would do that. Can he? I don't know if he can order the Federal Reserve Charter. Can say nothing about that. See, it's just executive order stuff. It's it's all of it is just smoke and mirrors. Everything the whole government is doing. Forget Trump. Just everything at this point is smoke and mirrors. We need to get our debt under control. Period. Point blank and period. There's ways to do that without screwing every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the nation as well. There's ways to do that. There's smart ways to do that. I don't think anyone's looking at smart ways to do that. They're doing it through these political lenses. And that's the wrong way to do it. You need to, in my opinion, you need to sit down, analyze everything the government's done. You got 3 months. Analyze everything the government spends money on. Every single little thing. See what is going out and see if you can leave it out. Like, see what's expiring, right? If you want to do a hiring thing, if a bunch of people want to retire, I don't care if you want to buy people into retirement. That's fine if you want to do that. Go buy people into retirement. Boom, those salaries are gone. Gone forever. Fine. You want to get rid of some agencies, make sure they're able to be gotten rid of. You know what I mean? Just do your homework and then just get rid of it. There was a presentation done by an Arizona representative. I forget the gentleman's name, but he said if all we did was prevent diabetes in Medicare cost, it would basically pay for Medicare for the next 10 years. Are they doing that? There's a senator that did a study that said if you do preventative diabetes medication just within Medicare, that it would pay for, like, that's what needs to be done. You start with those really, really big swings at bat. I mean, someone had to mention that to Trump or Doge or whoever's doing whatever, but they're not doing it. It baffles me. Absolutely baffles the mind that the low-hanging fruit just isn't taken in that way. Okay? And that's not even before you go by both sides. Take some stuff from the left, take some stuff from the right. Do all of it, right? But like I mentioned earlier, we're too polarized on both sides that no one wants to even talk. If the right were to propose it, the Democrats would say, we can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And it would be the same way on the other. It's just, we're all going to pay the price. Our kids are going to pay the price. It's not good. It's not good at all. I don't like it. They should just listen to Ray Dalio. That's all they got to do. Listen to Ray Dalio. And yeah, he does talk a little bit about what needs to be done. I didn't really get a finished interview, but he talked about debt. He talked about it on one of those, which is the one I watched. Yeah, I think this one. I think I have closed captions. Doge, Trump, AI greatest risk, conflict between U.S. and China. Yeah, right here. How can you avoid debt crisis? He talks about it right here. How can you avoid it? And this is the guy to talk about. I don't understand how, like the knowledge is there. The knowledge is there. You just need to use it. I don't know if I can get you guys audio or not, but probably get me banned. This guy's probably whatever. But anyway, here's um, I'll put this link if you guys are interested in this. And he's got the timestamp down here. It's about the 42. You know, he talks about this, and he's the guy to talk about. He's the guy. The Federal Reserve, it's not their mandate. He's the guy to talk about. So I don't know, guys. Let's talk about stocks a little bit. I think the market is trashed. You look at what happened on Friday. Maybe we talked about the low volume rises right there. Talked about the low volume rises. Then we got volume increasing to the downside here. Okay, that's a problem. You got uh, looking at individual stocks. You've got Tesla up here. I'm not sure the dynamic with Tesla, although I don't necessarily think that this will survive. I don't know if this was because the right was talking, or the I won't even say I don't even want to say the right. That does people on the right disservice. The Trumposphere there talking about buying Tesla. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Do people trying to dump Tesla? I don't know the dynamic in here, but maybe that's what this was. Maybe they're maybe Trump's thing at the White House to buy Tesla took hold and they have orders. I'm not fully sure to be honest with you, but we've seen a reverse course a little bit on Thursday, Friday. Didn't go too far, but I don't know if this has what it takes to really do a big market rally. Soxel new low. I didn't notice that. Wow. Jeez, this Soxel. I think this is 700% if it takes this measured move. If it goes back up to the highs 600%, you know, it's almost worth a big capitulative dip buy. Because you have a capitulative dip buy here. If this happens, I think you buy that day. You get a big capitulation and you don't buy it until you get it. You don't buy it until you get it. I think that's the real way to go here. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think that's the sign to look for. Look at that buy. That is huge money. Absolutely gigantic money buying Soxel in mass. And they probably offloaded it somewhere over here. Nvidia almost looks like a big head and shoulder. Shoulder, head, haven't formed a right shoulder yet. Don't even fully have the next neckline point, but it almost looks like a big head and shoulders. Not doing anything with that. Palantir, while an amazing company and a good chart, I don't think actually has what it takes to hold up in a large market downturn. Friday was an example of that. AMD's garbage. ARM, these are just ones I have up here. ARM, blah, blah, blah. Reddit. Reddit has a potential measure move to 70. Um, and I did look at options for that. If I can even get in anymore. There we go. So I did look at options for that. I did buy some VIX options for VIX to go back to 30. Um, it's a small position though. I didn't buy a big position. I should have bought bigger, I guess. It's just not my core trade. So you look at Reddit, right? Is Reddit? You look at Reddit and oh, was it 70 or 40? Oh, 70. See, I had it going to 40, which is why it was so crazy. That's because this is a non-log chart. Duh, Randy. Old manning it here. So if we get that measured move, let's look at a time scale for that. So this last drop happened in 3 days. I'm not sure it's going to happen that fast. Um, but if you look at it, let's go out, I don't know, 3 weeks to 70, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's a 300%. That's 100%. 10, that's almost 300%. Most of these are going to be about the 300% territory. So 300% trade's not too bad. It's pretty good, actually. See, I had this measure moved to 40 because this is an analog chart. That's why. Um, but 70 seems a little more likely. You fill the gap all the way. I think that could be a potential trade. You think it happens sooner than that? You'll be rewarded faster. Take 26 days to 70. This is a 10 bucks. Look at that. You got, oh, here's your bid ask. So 10 bucks, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 500%. If you think it can do it in 26 days, which I think is pretty likely. I think 26 days could happen. That's not too bad. That's pretty good right there. So I think there's like one or two really good probability trades. I think Reddit could be one of them. I like Reddit a lot too, but this sell-off is real. This is a real sell-off. So maybe a measured move would be good. PE of 454, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I think there's some moves to be made here. I think, gold isn't gonna have big moves, but I think they'll be pretty stable. I think dips in gold should be bought. Um, FNGU, this has a big bear flag going down to 247 for FNGU. I talked about this one last week. Both of these trades would have already worked out pretty well. Oh, this doesn't have options. Never mind. I looked at that trade. It doesn't have options. But FNGU with potentially a measured move, 32% from here. We were talking about it. I think I looked at it on here, and that would have been a 42% move for FNGU. And right back down to these supports. And so what did that get you on the way up? 180% over the course of, 6 months. There's money to be made here. There's money to be had. Crypto is obviously a lot more difficult. But again, I think it's very macro based. If I look, I'm not a Trump fan. I know there's some people in here that probably are Trump fans. Thank you for hanging around, but I don't see the thing with the tariffs. It boggles my mind that he gets into office voted in by people because they didn't like Biden's economics. It made their cost of living more, and I get it. I 100% get it. But now he's doing all this. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Are the tariffs really going to do anything for us? They don't appear to be doing anything so far. I mean, stock market's forward looking. I view this as like I said, I view charts as a single source of truth. That's it. Not news, not political talk, not people talking about whatever. I really don't care. I take, I look at the news and I see in context to what the charts are doing. And I'm like, I don't understand what he's thinking. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. There's, if you want to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., if you want to pass legislation for manufacturers to have zero tax, do that, right? That says, I want manufacturing in the US. Passing tariffs doesn't say I want manufacturing in the US. Not to me. That's not the message you're sending. That's not what people are going to be doing. Politics is weird like that, even if he says it outright. If you lower manufacturing taxes, give them tax credits for fuck's sake. For every $100,000 employee you have in a manufacturing facility, you get a $10,000 tax credit. Something. Be creative. You do it that way. Don't just do tariffs just because it's easy. It just it seems like he's doing it because it's he said it's easy. He said he does it because it's easy. That's why he said it. I agree. Yeah, I said that earlier, David. That's what I said. I'm like, it's gonna take it took Tesla 2 years to build a factory, 1 year to get to scale, right? But see, here's the thing. If you want to bring it back, I think we should bring it back. 100% we should bring it back. And it should be known it's going to take years. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but what do the tariffs accomplish? I don't know what they accomplish. But Trump legitimately said, I'm doing tariffs because it's easy. How do I find that? Uh, Trump quotes on why he's doing tariffs. But like legitimately, one of them was because it's easy. And I'm like, okay, just because it's easy means you should do it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can find a quote, but I'm 99% sure I remember him saying that because they're easy to do. They're easy to do. I'm just gonna put the quote in there. Anyway, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I don't want to click every link in here, but I'll just ask chat, I guess. Maybe chat. Maybe chat will tell me. Did Trump say he was using tariffs because they are easy? Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I remember, though. Reasoning. Can you go look on the internet? Anyway, trade wars are good and easy to win. Yes, this is based off old data. I don't know. Anyway, I don't see the I think the market doesn't see the use in the tariffs either. So at the end of the day, it's news driven. It's new if he's keeping up with this, if he's not giving up on it, if he's not going to capitulate, we're going to see these moves. We're going to see these moves just like we did in 2018. He did the same thing in 2018. The only dynamic that I'm not fully sure on, fully ready to admit this too, is obviously he left some tariffs on. Is it because I know that even Biden kept the Trump era tariffs, and I think they're still in effect actually. Um, exactly what did the market like? Is it the fact that the general tariff thing was over? Was that it? It's about the market dynamic and what it wants to hear, what it wants to see. That's 100% what we need to know. And regardless of your politics, that's the only question that matters. Regardless of your politics in 2018, this thing stopped when the whole tariff thing basically stopped. Even if he kept the tariffs on, but I think it was like going to increase them to 35%, or there's a bunch of talk. It just scared the markets, and then the top stocked, and the markets talks stop, and the markets come back. I believe that was the dynamic. And again, the Fed was also included in this. Maybe it was more Fed than tariffs. Maybe it was more tariffs than Fed. It's hard to know, but I think if you view it all in context and you view the market action in context, you're buying right here. So it is what it is. So you got to wait for volume, I think, to show a capitulative move. Um, and also you have to look at leading stocks. I think Nvidia will be important if and when we flatten out and stop falling. I think it's a big dynamic at play here. Bitcoin could be part of that. I don't know if it'll be a leading thing or not. Probably won't be, but it'll have its own signal at its own time, in my opinion. So, all right, guys, it's been a good one. It's been a long one. Um, I'm gonna bounce unless you guys have any more questions. I know we did a lot more juxtaposing than talk about crypto charts, but this is a preview of the Power Hour. If you guys are interested, great. Real-crypto.com. You'll find it. If anyone joins Slack, you know what? I'm gonna start a room real quick. I'll start a new room. How do I start a room? It's been a while. Channels? Create channel. Let's do, what should we call it? Where can oh, what should we call it? I don't know if I want to call it Ray Dalio, but I think we should call it, I mean, it's definitely like macro perspective. Uh, call it global macro maybe, because I think it really is global. I want it to be, I wish Kevin would join. If you're still here, Kevin, I don't know if you bailed already, but um, people that are interested that actually follow this stuff. I mean, if you guys know of a good chat room, I'd like to join a good chat room on it. But a good chat room, people that aren't just bullshitting like my general chat. Generals for bullshitting. What should we call it? Like global macro, um, end of the world macro, end of the U.S. macro. I don't know. I'll just call it global macro. Global macro's been started. Anyone in real crypto can join. Um, you guys are welcome to find it, Global Macro. It's just going to be in the channel list if you guys end up in here. So, um, yeah, that's it. Do I think the market is emotion driven? No, I do not think. No, well, there's a component that's emotional. Yes, it's psychologically driven. Not necessarily. It's emotional to the players. It's emotions. It's emotions of the big players. Generally, they're less emotional. Occasionally, they get emotional. They're still human beings, right? Um, it's psychologically driven, though, for sure. Yeah, and that's what you're looking at when you're looking at these charts. You're looking at the sum of the sum of the market participants. You're looking at the thoughts of the sum of the market participants and their voting money based on how they think the economy is going to go or think that their stock is going to go. When you look at indexes, it takes a more broad perspective. If you're going to sit and look at Reddit, obviously you're just looking at Reddit, right? You can think Reddit's going to fail due to the global macro perspective. That's fine. Um, the other thing you're looking at is liquidity. You're looking at, do institutions need liquidity or do they need to put liquidity to work? Liquidity means money, right? Are they withdrawing? Are they depositing? Are they buying? Are they selling? That's really what it is. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's really what it is, and it's reading those signs back and forth across time. Wow, that's pretty poignant. Back and forth across time. If I look at this chart right now, what I see is this 200-day moving average being broken, being retested, broken and retested, broken and retested. You take a move down, you come up, you fail the 200. Of course, this was 2022. This was all Fed, obviously. This was inflation, right? We'll see what it ends up being this time around. All right, y'all, have a good day. I'm done. Stay safe. I will see you guys next time around. Hopefully, I'll see you in macro, global macro. Have a good day. Bye, guys.